Welcome to Living a Sustainable Dream. And can we talk about living off grid? Now, I jokingly show you this magazine, and this just happened to be the title of it, Can We Talk? Or fax or email. New electronics can quickly connect you to shore. This is Cruising World magazine. And the reason I'm showing you this is this date right here. This is the date. January of 1998. My wife and I were just frustrated with student loan debt, frustrated with trying to make a living and working two full-time jobs, never seeing each other. We were like two ships passing in the night. And we finally just said, I don't know if we can do this anymore. It's just too much. And we were thinking, what are some ways that we could escape the daily grind to get to a place where we wouldn't have to worry about being in debt? And we are going through a store called Shopko. And if you know about Shopko, they no longer exist, but it had a magazine rack back in 1988 by the front doors, and we were just kind of looking at magazines and kind of discussing what magazines are out. And I saw this Cruising World magazine. I said, that's it. If we could live on a boat, we could be like gypsies. We could sail from port to port. We could cruise around the world. We would not be trapped by a home mortgage or debt. Maybe we could do this. And my wife was on board for quite a while until we bought a sailboat to actually put into practice. So we bought a Catalina 22-footer, and it is a really good racing boat. For those who are in sailing associations, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's got a great class of boats to compete against, and it's also a very fast boat when rigged correctly. So my wife and I joined the Southern Idaho Sailing Association at the time, and that sailing association was a great introduction to what sailing was all about, and also if we were going to be any good at it, and what it required of us physically, mentally, emotionally, and even spiritually. So sailing for us, this Cruising World magazine, once I picked it up at that Shopko in that January winter night long ago, it became something that I was really striving for, and my wife as well. Well, as you can see, the sailing dream has kind of gone away. And I want you to understand that just because dreams change, it doesn't mean that they're dead. It just means it can transform into something else. And that's what Cruising World did for us, is that if you look at the magazine, I actually still have. This is the original magazine. This is the one I bought that launched our off-grid living 21 years ago. It just looked a little differently back then. But what I did is I incorporated many of the ideas from Cruising World into our lifestyle. And what I mean by that is a lot of the tips on life from a cruising wife, basically boat keeping, advice on how to keep your boat, the backyard boat, just different things on how to do it. They have a lot of off-grid stuff. They have a lot of how to use solar, how to use wind effectively, water purification. This is what Cruising World was all about back in the day. And people would live aboard their boats, their dream boats, and they became their homes. They were the nomads of the water. Now we have nomads in RVs, traveling around, and it's pretty much the same principle. You're taking your home and you're putting it to work for you, and you're trying not to be imprisoned to your home. You're trying to make your home an escape from the rat race. And that was part of the deal, is that we wanted to get away from the rat race. Here's a story about a family that had lost everything. And in that fire, they were going to rebuild. And I wonder where they're at today. But this boat, I was looking at boats like this, the Sea Dart, the 27-footer. These were boats that inspired solo sailing around the world. And it can be done. And I was like, this is ultimate freedom. Seeing different cultures, different lifestyles. I was so excited about what this could mean for our lives. And then you kind of ask yourself, well, what happened? You're not sailing anymore. What's going on? Well, we still have the Catalina 22, and I'm trying to decide what to do with it. But my wife really does not enjoy the sailboat. That is not her lifestyle. And sometimes when you're a couple, you have to work together and create a dream together. And I didn't want my dream to become a dream that only I shared in, and then the other person would be miserable. And that's kind of how this dream came to be with the off-grid living, is that I adapted it. I still have the freedom of my home. I don't have a mortgage. I don't have much debt except for the tractor. That's it. I don't have any student loan debt. We got those all paid off. And that was a lot of work. This dream, many of our systems aren't completed yet, so we still have more systems to put in, a shop to put in, all that stuff, hopefully to come in the future. But we have gotten the majority of our dream together. Here's that article, Tips on Life from a Cruising Wife. From provisions, the head, boat keeping, how to keep your food safe from pests. I mean, you can use all this stuff for your home. And I started to bring in the solar. I started to think about wind, all that from my Cruising World magazine. Now, I'm not sure what Cruising World magazine is up to now, but I noticed that the advertisement inserts, all the advertisements started to take over the stories. Fewer and fewer stories were coming out in the later editions. It became more of a packet of advertisement. And I know you have to make a living and you have to survive. I get that. But it became not the dream of sharing stories that it used to be. And maybe they've gone back to the roots. I haven't really checked lately. But the boats and stuff that they shared, my wife and I would plan, maybe we should do a catamaran because you get way more room. Look at the eating area. You got your berths in the back here. That a berth is your bed that you sleep in. This one's three bedroom. And then also you can convert that usually into a fourth bed. But we all love the catamarans as far as that goes. But we hear that they're a pain to sail because they bounce on the water. There's some VHF radios. Now that I have my license, my ham radio license, this all makes more sense to me. So we have, the electrical stuff, what's going on in electronics, communications. This stuff can all still be used in your home, your regular home. A lot of the electronic stuff. And then this was a great story. I remember falling in love with the story with a Japanese man. He basically a question of balance, and he literally saved his life by just going sailing and getting out because he was just being crushed by the rat race, I think it was. So, and he found balance once again sailing, and there he is there. Very inspirational for me at the time to realize that I should not let a job drag me down. I shouldn't let circumstances in life make me so depressed that I can't stand living. And this guy solved his problem by sailing and getting away from it. Sailing ships are built to handle the storms. They truly are amazing. And just, like storage, how to create storage spaces in a tight situation. So if you have a tiny home, that's what a sailboat is. It's a tiny home. You can use so much from sailing in a life on shore on how to utilize space, how to work with space, how to be more mobile, how to work with off-grid systems, communication systems. Sailing is just so versatile that my life has so much influence from Cruising World, even though that I'm not sailing per se anymore. And just, lots of, equipment techniques. And obviously, most of it is sailing related. And then you have the advertising section, vacation section, captain section, how to get your captain's license. Something I still want to do. And maybe I'll have that opportunity. And then you have your the boats that were for sale back then. Like just some price checks here. You can see some of the old prices, on how much those boats ran for. My wife and I wanted a 36-footer minimum, just for more space, more comfortability. And then in the very back of this magazine usually was the workbench. And in the workbench, they taught you how to do a lot of the off-grid systems, desalination of water, how to be efficient on board, different hacks that you can do on your boat that a lot of sailors that actually implemented it contributed to it. So very, very cool how this all impacted my life and what you see there. So I just wanted to share with you, this is the beginning. This magazine, this exact episode on that late January night in which my wife and I were just so depressed by living in debt, feeling that we were living from paycheck to paycheck. And at that Shopco, which no longer exists, I found this magazine and it brought me a light of hope. Now, what it also did is that as I was planning to create a off-grid life, I started dreaming, and I dreamed big, you guys. I really dreamed big about this. I even went and got a boat to practice it, for lake sailing and all that. And it impacted my life so much that a lot of that house that you see is part of this. There's many resources that I used in here, in there. And you can see my solar panels. A lot of the ideas I got for inverters, everything, a lot of it came from the cruising community and the inspirational stories that there are. So this is Living a Sustainable Dream. I hope this kind of inspires you to find something that will inspire you. And then don't be afraid to change your dream. Make a smaller house. Make a bigger house. Live in a motorhome. Don't live in a motorhome. Live in a van that you convert or whatever. It's whatever you can do, but keep your hope up. And if your dream changes, don't lose what you've learned, those valuable lessons, those things that inspired you. Take that with you in your tool chest as you use those into the adaptations and the amendments to your dream so that you can live the best life that you can have. Because this life is really short and you guys should really enjoy living. And I am really evaluating where I'm at in life, and I want to live life to the fullest. I want to live life and be joyful about it. And I hope that this inspires you to do the same. I know I'm trying to get myself inspired to do it as well, to make sure that I'm practicing and living the way I should for my health, for my family, for my community, and being an inspiration to others. All right, you guys take care. Have a great day. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and give a thumbs up. We really appreciate it. It really helps our channel to grow. It also helps the channel to kind of develop more content. I think next time I will show you other things, other literature that has impacted our journey to off-grid living. In case that is the dream you're looking at, I will show you all the resources that we have been using to go. This is part of my library. I have many years of this magazine. I think I have 10 years of Cruising World magazines that I pop open every now and then and read and get inspiration on. All right, you guys take care. God bless.